Given the quick start guide, connecting to the network. So these come with an IP address already assigned. So when you plug them, they're statically assigned, no DHCP. So if you just plug them into your switch, it's not going to work, right? Unless your switch is set up to be on that same subnet and route to that device. So generally, the way I had set these up in the past is I just set the IP address on my laptop. It's different for different OSs. So I can just manually change my IP address to be in the range of that device, set it as maybe the default gateway or something with this subnet mask, and then I can navigate to the factory set IP address of the Makito, and then I can get to its web interface here. Admin.
When you initially log on, you're going to see that default IP address.
Yeah.
Okay.
You'll see so you should just be connected, hardwired directly into the Ethernet port of your Makito
before you even set it up.
Yeah, that's the very first step. Is change your IP so you can get to it. It's a bit involved, but it works. So yeah, you'll be able to navigate to the web interface at that point after you change your IP, just by going to the default IP, which is the default passwords and IP addresses are in the documentation on the support rules. We don't generally distribute those, so that'll have to be distributed to your team internally. But yeah, and then you'll go over to network, change the host name.
Host name is just going to be what it populates on the furnace as, or on the.
Actually, the furnace doesn't care about the host name.
My apologies. On the manta ray.
The manta ray doesn't actually care about the encoders directly.
So where is this name going to populate?
This host name is just on your network. It's going to broadcast.
That BIOS name.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right.
All
right.
Right. So yeah, it's just your core network host name. It actually Furnace doesn't really care that much about the host name of the Makito. But if you had DHCP set to automatically resolve DNS or something, you can set that up. So it's provided as a utility as your basic core networking information. But then your IP address, you can change to DHCP. You just change the information here, click apply. You'll have to reboot if you change any network stuff. You probably won't change any of this unless you know that this needs to be changed. You will want to set up your DNS stuff, assuming that you're going to be using that at some point.
Right.
I know that DNS really isn't used right now at this site, but other sites I could see it happening. And then you just reboot it, and then it's good to go. You can unplug it from your laptop, plug it back into the switch with that subnet, and then hopefully, if your switch is configured and the stars align, you'll be able to get to it at that new IP address.
Right. So it should come up on the unsigned devices.
Right, and then then it'll start. I think it's the other way around. I think that the furnace is putting out a broadcast and it's trying to find any Makitos on that subnet.
Okay.
And then it found that the one that we evicted earlier. And then we can just select it and invite it to the realm. Successfully invited. And then what happens from here?
I just refresh the page like that.
Yeah.
There you go.
There you go. So now it's back in the realm, and I can actually assign channels to go over that Makito. So we'll see how that workflow looks in a second here. You don't really need to access the web interfaces from this view. There's a different utility. There's a lot of different tools in here, but really the only ones that are relevant to your setup is the VF admin, and we were just there. Next, we'll look at the channel manager. And this is how we actually determine what the set-top box sees in the programming guide, how many channels exist on the set-top box. So asset list, you guys won't have to worry about because you're not saving any assets in there. But the channel editor, this is your lineup, right? So this is how you change your different channels and the number that they come up as, and the thumbnail that's on there, the name that they're in the programming guide as, what they show up in the interface, in the info page, and then this information here.
What is the spare for encoder?
So that's That's some sort of test. Yeah, that's not.
Can we delete that
Yeah,
from the
okay.
lineup
Yep.
then?
There's not even an encoder set up to it. It looks like.
I see. So the mobile cart doesn't have an encoder set up to it either.
Yeah, interestingly enough. So I guess the way you guys set up the mobile cart is it's not provisioned by Furnace. It's just outputting
It's
to that.
outputting to a designated,
Yeah.
dedicated encoder and controller in the card.
And that has its own, like the output is set up statically, not configured to Furnace. Okay, that's a different workflow that we'll talk about in a second. But yeah, if I wanted to, we'll delete the spare 4. Was that even showing up in the lineup?
But we didn't add it to the channel lineup to be available in this.
Yeah.
If you go to the channel lineup editor, I think.
Yep, we'll get there in a sec. First, you need to have your list of channels. So if we wanted to add a new channel, it looks like you guys are running encryption on all these multicasts, so we'll just check that as well. Call sign will be spare. Description, this doesn't matter. Description, it'll show up in the programming guide. You'll actually see the text in the description. Channel number, we'll make this 4. Is that how you guys are doing this? It's like 40 something?
Yeah, it was I think what was it? Oh yeah, 101, 102, 103, like that.
Yeah, we'll just call it 4.
That's fine.
What private numbers were you using? Let me just go back to basically copy the configuration. Well,
yeah, I just 101, yeah. So 101, 102,
so the private number it's used in programming guide data, which you guys don't have set up here. So it just needs to be set, but it doesn't matter what it's set to. Yeah, source is a single stream. Well, this one's different than how we're going to set up the other ones. So here's your Comcast 1 configuration. It's encrypted. Comcast 1 is the name that shows up on the set-top box. This also shows up in the description. Channel number set is 101, so you can press 101 on the remote and it will tune to it. Private number, like I said, it's for programming guide data, but you guys don't have that, so don't worry about it. But it does need to be set. The private number needs to be unique for every channel as well, or else it'll complain. So it's kind of a process of going back and forth and figuring out what the next private number should be. But source is probably always going to be a single stream for you guys, so you don't have to worry about it. And then these Makito encoders are populated from that realm, the server manager that we looked at earlier. So every Makito that we invited is going to show up in this list. So right now we have .11, and you guys have numbered them such that it's 1, 2, 3, starting from 10. So 11 is the first encoder over there. And we'll go into configure in a second here, but you can say you probably won't have to change these unless you know what you're doing, the instant stuff. Then your output URL is the actual, if you set encryption, you need to use the VFTP instead of UDP protocol. This is the video furnace transfer protocol. It's what allows you to do encrypted multicast. It's the protocol descriptor for that. So basically just follow these schemes. Multicast address that it's outputting on, and port 4900 is what you guys have used for everything. It's pretty standard. Chosen randomly, doesn't really mean anything, but.
So with the private number, you said it could be difficult finding the next private number. How do we go?
Well, here's how you do it. I mean, here's how it's set up here. This is 90101, and then the next one that was set up is probably 90102, 90201. It just needs to be unique because you're not using programming guide data. It won't actually.
Number you want.
Yeah. It just needs to be unique. Yeah. So it's kind of annoying, but whatever. So yeah, VFTP. So the way that the encoder here is set up is, well, the output of this encoder is statically configured on the mobile cart, so you don't see the service URL here. But it's, I'm guessing if we just find the one that's not in here, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Do you know the IP of the mobile cart encoder?
Encoder. Yeah. It should be. Yeah. What's it? I just go through the IT admin.
Oh,
No, it's like 11, 12, 13, 14,
17.
17.
Yeah, it's like how you did it, but
So now we can look at the actual output of an encoder. I don't think that's quite it because it has a description. Well, hold on one sec. Let me just look at the furnace again.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. I will go back to VF admin to find the mobile cart. It should be one of these, right?
Yeah. It should be 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 18. I'm sorry, 6. 18? Yeah, 8.
Well, how many do we have in that? Right. Sorry.
We have 2, 4, 6, 8, 9, 9. That's what I use, so it's nice.
Okay. It's hard to get to this Makito because it is going to have a
Oh, it's a different
changing IP every time.
That's what it is, yeah. It's a different
So it's on DHCP or
Correct,
something.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's not the ACP, it's something different.
It's on
Yeah,
dot
but the
two.
fact that we're going to move this everywhere,
Yeah.
that's why I said the DHCP.
Yeah. So this. Sorry, this is a very specific setup, but this encoder is.
Yeah,
It's always putting out on the same multicast address. So when we look at the channel manager for the mobile cart, this multicast address is always going to be this encoder. It's just how it was set up.
Is
But
there a signage? Okay, I see now.
yes.
Signage.
Okay. So I'll continue through here, through the channel editor tool. You guys aren't using programming guide, so don't worry about the guide link editor. You can add different logos in if you want to have, if they wanted to change the logos for the channels, but probably not. Live one, so this affects what's on here. Maybe you want to have something different for the Blu-ray channels or for the signage channel to make it a little easier on the programming guide to figure it out. But you do that through the icon manager. You can actually upload icons here and then choose them for specific channels. Lineup editor is the actual order that the channels are in. So if you add a new one, it'll probably be 404 at the end there. And then these are the actual sources that you can use. So there's 1 and 2 for the different spares. You'll just use default lineup. You won't have specific lineups for specific places. And the way that this works is it's put out over a multicast address that the man arrays can see, and that's how it populates the actual programming guide data. But you don't have to worry about changing that. This just works on demand guide. So yeah, nothing will need to be changed here. But the important part here is the order of the channels is going to be drag and drop on this current lineup. Drag in new sources here. So yeah, if you add more encoders, or if you add any encoders, the lineup will come from the channel editor here. So spare 1 and 2 are listed here, but they're not listed in the lineup editor, so the man arrays won't be able to see these because they're not set up to do anything right now, so they won't be able to tune to them. You can schedule stuff, but I don't think there's a whole document on how to create these schedules. I honestly don't know how to do it. I haven't had to do it, so probably don't need to worry about that. TMS, this is the programming guide data. Like I was saying, you guys aren't using that, so you don't have to worry about it. Any questions on channel configuration and lineup editing? It's a little involved on this system, but
What's the new interface that you would be using?
for the media platform,
Yeah.
it's a lot better, in my opinion. I don't.
Just out of curiosity.
I can load up the. We'll probably have to do a separate training session for that because it's a whole different system.
What's it called though? It's not yet. It's not.
It's the media High Vision media platform.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and it sounds like you guys will be using that at a new location or something. I don't know.
Hopefully.
Yeah, I like it. I think media platforms, the interface is a lot more intuitive and modern and user friendly. It's not as like in the weeds as this kind of stuff is. You know? I don't think I am going to be able to connect to the VPN to show you the demo system. Honestly, should have a VM of it on my laptop, but I usually don't have to demo media platform too much. So. But yeah, that's channel lineup stuff. It's a little involved. So we can make spare 3 here. Make that AES encrypted. Channel number 40. We had 1, 2, and 3, so that's probably, this can be anything, doesn't matter. And then we're using Makito X encoders. Now I completely forget, I think it was 19. I can check by clicking on configure and logging in. So I'm actually going into the encoder itself at this point. The output here is going to be auto provisioned by Furnace. So the actual, everything here is created by Furnace. You don't need to worry about it. But you will need to worry about video and audio are related to the actual encoders. So you can set up multiple encodes as needed. And then you can change the output to use different encodes of video and audio. So if you wanted one to do 720p, you go in here. Your input's DVI, but there's actually nothing connected to this one right now, so there's no input format. And statistics will show us it's awaiting framing because nothing's been plugged in. Bit rate, depending on how many channels you end up adding, you might want to drop this down. It'll affect the quality of the picture a little bit, but you drop this down in half, and then you just kind of finagle with bitrate until it looks good enough and it's low enough where you're okay with it. You can set automatic resolution on the output. So this part is the encode, and this determines the resolution of the output stream. Okay. So 1920, you know, you got your standard 16:9 standard definition options if need be. 480. Yeah, you got a ton of options in here. Frame rate, you probably want to set this. So the automatic resolution and frame rate, it can cause some weirdness. If you know exactly what you want on the output, then it helps to set these to something static. But automatic works just as well. So usually, though, keep in mind that the man array set-top boxes are not the most powerful decoders. So if you wanted to do like a 1920 by 1080 at 60 frames, that's a whole lot of data that the man arrays will have to decode, and they're not actually quick enough to do that. So we recommend 720p. This is a problem I ran into when I was first setting up my Makito at home, trying to put it out to a man array, and I was running 1080p 60 frames, just like go, go, go. And the man array was just struggling to get all those frames. So 720, 30 is usually a good standard to go by. In fact, if I look at, yeah, it's usually best to have like a spreadsheet up with all your channels and your numbers and stuff next to this, just so that you can keep track. It's not all in one interface. So, sorry, I was going to look at the encode parameters of the Comcast channel 1, so video encoder. See, we have this set to 720, 30 IP framing. IP is just standard. I mean, if you do IVP, that might be for like high definition sports or something, you know, where there's a lot of movement. You get a little bit more information, allow more time to process everything. The GOP size determines how often an iframe gets sent. This is a pretty in the weeds video encoding stuff, but iframes are what, like, it's like a full JPEG, right, with everything in it. And then P frames and B frames are the changes between iframes, right? So that's how H.264 encoding works. You send a full picture, and then you say, okay, this part changed a little bit, and then the decode, it'll only update that part of the image, and that's how video encoding, decoding kind of works. So GOP size determines how often an iframe gets sent. So 120 GOP says send an iframe every 120 frames. So if we look at our frame rate, that's, I don't know, like an iframe will get sent every 4 seconds or something like that at this point. 5 seconds maybe. I'm not doing the math right now. And that determines how fast the set-top boxes are going to be able to tune in. Because they can't start decoding until they get an iframe, right? They need to have the first picture to be able to figure out what the changes of the rest of the picture are going to be.
GOP size is in seconds.
GOP size it's an actual just scalar value of number of frames that it takes to send it.
So if you have 30 frames.
So it's frames, not seconds.
Yeah, this is frames.
I
Yes.
just wanted to make sure.
There's a different encoder where we set it to, sometimes you'll see GOP in seconds or milliseconds. Sometimes you'll see it as frames. We have it set as frames, but
I just wanted to
yeah. The default value of 120 is safe because it's double the maximum that we have. And the more iframes that you send, I think the higher quality you'll have, but it'll affect your bit rate. So if your bit rate's too low, those iframes will be really compressed and like gross. So it's kind of like a really weird balancing act of encode, you know. This is like my whole job is just tweaking these values to work for every customer.
Can you send the video to the viewer?
What do you mean? So yeah. So the Makito, the way that the mana array is tuned to the output of the Makito is through the furnace, through this channel editor, right? So by having this output multicast address, the mana arrays are paired with the furnace, and all the information that the mana arrays have come from the furnace. So when I put in this channel, that encoder is set up. This output is automatically generated by Furnace when I create it in this channel editor. Okay, so destination here is just auto-populated, and since Furnace is kind of orchestrating the encode decode, when the mana array talks to the Furnace, it knows what URL to point to get the output of the encoder. Okay, so it's not direct. We do have newer set-top boxes that you can set up in standalone mode, and it's like VLC. I can literally just punch in that URL, and it'll start decoding it. But those are newer, like we call them Play 2000s, and you guys don't have those, so don't worry about it. But yeah, as far as the encode stuff goes, on the Comcast channel, I have the GOP size set the same as the frame rate, so an iframe gets sent every second. It's generally a good practice for IPTV solutions, which is kind of what you have here, so that the tune-in time can be as low as possible. Like worst case, you click tune in on the mana array and it just missed the iframe, and it should take about a second to get the next iframe and then actually start watching and decoding the strings. You can change aspect ratio on the output. I really wouldn't, like, unless you really know what displays you're looking at. We spent the last 2 days just playing with aspect ratios, and it was a big pain. So 720p is a 16:9 aspect ratio, and that seems to work around here. Unless you really know what you're doing, you probably won't be changing these. Yeah, see the input format off the tuner is 480p. It's actually 480i, but this resolves it to 480p, 60 frames. So that's why it doesn't look the best. You can also view stream statistics, encode statistics off that button there. Statistics right here. You can also stop it. You shouldn't need to, because the furnace is going to manage the outputs.
So can you change that tuner to 720p output?
Yeah, we tried all day yesterday.
No luck.
No.
You went over that.
You can show them. You still have the stream up.
Yeah. Well, do I? Yeah.
So that's why it's green.
It does look a little green over here. That might even just be the channel, honestly.
She was actually complaining that it was stuck on sports channel, so if we change it anyways.
Should be happier. Yeah, keep it just on sports channels for now. We can. We'll be able to change it.
We'll take one of the encoders and decoders and stuff like the factory default and take them off the server and do like a walkthrough and set
We could. It would kind of ruin the network setup I have here because I've had to set static routes for multicast to get to my laptop and everything. We could. It's in the documentation as well, though, the Makito setup guide. Like, we do have that. So I did see Rennie's information about this, like asking for basically our internal training for how we train, like me, how I got trained. And honestly, how I got trained was they just sent me a Makito and the documentation, and they said, "Here, good luck." Like,
Figure it out.
yeah, they figure it out.
Yeah.
So, like on our end, we are not that big of a company. We don't have like a huge street. What's that? Yeah.
Group
I've
training.
seen it.
Right.
Yeah, we don't have big classroom like months of training. I just went on site with a guy and basically did like shadowed him and stuff. So the best way to get trained, honestly, is to walk through it, just play with it get a Makito in your hands and get it going. Like even just out of the blade. So yeah, connecting to the network, you plug it in here. This documentation is all public as well, so anyone can go in and look at this. Power it up, and then you guys have access to the support portal, which has the like granular information on like the actual IP address that you ship with, the default username and password and stuff. Rennie has access to our support portal here if he remembers his password. And on the download center, we have all of the documentation for the Makito. So even software updates, you'll have access to technical bulletins, technical briefs, support documentation, everything you can need for Makito X encoder. So yeah, this can be distributed amongst your team for setting it up. So we could run through it, but I don't know.
I mean, I think we should.
Well, that's up to him if he wants to take the Makito offline, factory reset it, and do the whole process. Yeah. All right. Well, all right.
Here we go.
Guess we got time. Yeah. So we'll factory reset this one.
Yep. You got a clothespin?
For a hair.
Might got a good wire.
It's like it says though, it's the best way to get it tried. Then when you have a question about what something does, ask they have like a home chat. They'll get right back to you.
There's a process of getting my laptop back on the network and multicast going, so
Work for me.
we want to use a different laptop to get. Right, you sure you want to bring that with you? Sure you want to bring that with you?
Yeah.
That's good.
I'm trying to find it.
Okay. Yeah, my nose is what
Can you hear them? Yeah, I already that already covered your I know. There you go. Oh no. We'll both of them.
That water too.
What's that? Yeah.
Yeah, I see.
I can wait. Bigger documentation that has it. I'm sure you've had it. You just forget.
Yeah, it's been a while. Yeah, that's it. Here. Oh no, I forgot 19.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Maybe you put like 10 seconds on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's tested for like a second. Yeah. Okay, cool. It should arc when it comes back off, so I'm just watching. I'm watching the wire story here. So yeah. Smart. I tried.
Where did you get the documentation?
Where did I get it from?
Yeah.
Where I usually just kind of fly by the seat of my pants, you know.
Did you have did you have access to the support? Or the
I just kind of winged this. I mean, I have notes from the first few installations every day. I was kind of going off of that.
That was
The other schools that they find in school.
yeah.
Root.
It's right there. So it's not
It's like 10 dots.
Yeah. Let's say high vision sounded, right? Let's say like high vision sounded. I'm not sure. Because I think that's what he did in the first year. High vision and then the back addresses. It's amber, green, very amber.
I think the county is paying for it, not.
So you're going to take that
Alright, yeah. So we factory reset the Makito here. So the Makito has its factory default IP, and we can go and yeah, we're just doing it on his laptop here, so I don't have to mess up my network
You want to plug the
configuration.
HDMI to mine then?
Yep. Oh. It's generally not as deep as we get.
All right. So what I had to do was I did a Wireshark to find the IP. So right there, high vision. So it's basically the default IP is 10.5.1.2. So what I'm giving myself is an IP in that range. So I'm gonna give myself 10.5.1.3.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Close. So it's like 10.5.
That one was 19.
See, I'm sorry, you did Wireshark to find
Find the IP. I didn't know off the top of my head, but I think it's going to be 10.5.12 for
the
every
IP of the default address.
default. We just factory reset that spare one.
Got it.
Just to show you the setup from the beginning.
Yeah.
So I'm connecting. My laptop is directly connected to that blade right now, that encoder, and I ran Wireshark to find what the IP was.
What command, or I'm only so familiar with Wireshark, just out of curiosity, what command you have to run Wireshark to?
He was just package
You just
sniffing everything.
It's packet sniffing. That's
Oh,
what it
okay,
is.
so
It's
it
just
finds
really, yeah,
everything.
it's chasing all the packets that's coming through that connection. Through
Then
the encoder.
was waiting for him.
I was waiting for that high vision.
This is a MAC address of the device that has a prefix that is mapped to high.
Yeah, so 10.5.12 is what it happened. So here we go. So this is the interface when you first log in. So
Yeah, there's no trust for the. So you'll get a site is not secure message because these don't ship with like publicly validated SSL certs and everything. So, but the interface uses SSL. So you're gonna get a I don't trust this.
So yeah.
But you know, if you're wired directly in, I don't think there's much chance for a man-in-the-middle attack. So you're clear to just continue on, even though their certificate seems invalid. So,
admin manager.
yep, default admin manager. And now, what we want to do is change the IP address, right? So you don't have to worry about this screen. You just go straight to the administration network, and now I'm going to copy the network parameters from one of the other Makitos because generally you'll have like a spreadsheet or a workbook.
I do. It's over here.
Yeah. There we go.
This cameras, a lot of cameras. Sorry, this is my anal note, sorry.
Yeah.
Don't mind me. Let's get somewhere.
We
Yeah, faster, sorry.
Yeah.
It's right here. Too fast! Sorry. You guys can-
Oh, wow.
ADD, just looking at it. There you go. Really?
It's right there.
No, this is-
Start sharing notes.
So we need to go to 19, that one.
That's really, yeah, that's great.
Yeah, we don't have to worry about the multicast address.
Oh, because it's coming from the first.
Yeah,
Yep.
this is what we're handed initially. Yeah, this is not
Gateway is probably going to be that one.
You want to look at the other one real quick? No.
Yeah, I got the other one.
Yeah, yeah.
It's just that
I
one.
think the subnet ID.
Yeah, by default, the subnet mask isn't the normal one, so you'll have to change that.
Okay.
Yeah. And the host name starts with
yeah,
Vision.
exactly, yes.
We're going to change this to spare 3. That one's 3.
That's three?
That means a spare encoder.
Or no,
It's spare, yeah.
there's only 2 spares, right?
Spare,
So
spare,
spare
yeah.
2.
I thought we didn't have any spares.
There's
You
2
said
spares.
there's two spares. It's on the spec.
Yeah.
There's still.
Yeah.
Gave me, so.
That one's spare 2. Oh, it's spare 2, actually. Let's double check that.
Watch this. Oh, yeah.
Take a lap, man.
Let me just double check that. That's spare 2. Oh, you just call that spare 1.
Yeah, so I call it spare two.
There is nothing on 20, so that one's just spare 2. We'll just call it spare 2. So match it up with the other one we have. This really will come from some sort of workbook. Somebody will give it to you and they'll say it is. We don't have domain DNS stuff, not in the specs, so by that. Tells you got to reboot. Let me look at anything. Yeah, it doesn't matter. That's literally all you need to do. Then click reboot. And that's the setup process from start to finish for Makito.
So you had an existing IP for that?
Yeah, it's from some workbook.
We have a spreadsheet for each encoder blade of what it's gonna be.
And now it can be plugged back into the switch. There, Eric. Plug it back into the switch.
Oh, okay, sure.
It says it'll take about 2 minutes. This page will refresh, but it's not on that IP anymore, so it won't resolve. So now we can go back to, the next step is to look at furnace. Yep. Or was it?
That's an X encoder blade, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
And now, if you recall, server manager is where we manage our Makitos. We'll evict that. So this is how it'll come up. If everything worked, you'll be able to see that there's an encoder at .19 IP address MAC, last seen at 9:57. So I'm going to refresh to make sure that that populates correctly. Screen.
Yeah.
Still showing offline, still probably rebooting.
Yeah.
So just, yep, there we go. Blue is searching, so it's constantly waiting for us to invite it. Like that. Oh, okay. Now that spare is set up for us to create channels on. So, channel manager, we can go to the channel editor. Spare 2 has its channel here. I'm not going to run through the process of creating a brand new channel because memorizing all the different things, you probably want to have a spreadsheet up where you know what the next private number should be, what channel number you want to use. But the important part here is you have to switch to Keto X encoder and actually pick the IP address of the encoder that you want to use. So that's related to what's actually getting put into it, right? So if I wanted to make this like a new signage channel or something, and I have the signage plugged into that spare encoder, then I'll go and pick that spare encoder as my signage encoder. And then if you actually need to, your output URL is also going to come from some sort of list that'll be numeric. Somebody will tell you what that should be for what that channel. Generally, the default encode parameters should be fine. But if we were looking at that earlier, if there's something broken, then you'll have to go, or if it doesn't look quite right, you can tweak these, but these should just work. They should work well enough.
Were you going to match the GOP size to the frame rate, or no?
I did that on your Comcast channels.
But nothing else?
Yeah, it's not required, right?
So generally default to 120, or
Yeah, it
just 30?
defaults to 120, and that'll work.
Match it to the frame rate. Okay.
It helps to pick your resolution and your frame rate. And
So you do. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. But 120 would be on Blu-ray. Anything else like that?
yeah, I think the Blu-ray is set up as 120. It's really up to your requirements for the stream. Yeah, exactly. Blu-ray we just have set up as 720, but like I was saying, the mana rates can't play anything.
Size is 30.
Yeah, that's dropped down. That can go up, but generally for like IPTV, you want to have it matched. And,
Okay.
And for your set-top boxes, you want to have 720, 30. That's probably the max that they'll be able to play.
Okay.
So yeah, when you plug something in, you probably want to come into, and to get to this, there's a nice little configure button. It'll pop you in a new tab to your encoder. So you go to your encoders. Now this also, your input is auto-detected here. And you only have DVI, user DVI encoder, so it's always going to be DVI. Don't have to worry about that, but you can put audio in over DVI, so you might have to change your audio encode to use the DVI as well. Depends on how you have it plugged in. Okay. So over here, they're using analog
I
audio.
think we can generally default to analog.
Yeah.
Despite the DVI, you can pass audio.
Yeah, so even the one we had here, we had a little adapter from HDMI to DVI, and it was working. So yeah, it's a pretty basic process. Usually, I think the encoder blade should ship with one of these. So if you do have the ability to do HDMI out of your sources, then you probably should. It gets rid of analog noise, and this can pass audio over it as well. One thing to keep in mind, though, if you're going to do HDMI out, if we were to take HDMI directly off the Comcast set-top boxes, that's HDCP encrypted. So you need either an HDCP stripper, which is what you guys have in here on the Blu-ray players. The Blu-rays are plugged into HDCP strippers, and then plugged in. Yeah, it's a little hardware.
Whether compliant or not compliant. They were ones that compliant.
Well, we were doing that with the tuner.
Yeah.
The tuner is helping strip it as well, yeah.
Yeah. Two different places that it happens.
And we have that in place for the Blu-ray player to plug to these two boxes right here.
Oh, the converter?
Yeah, the converter. So we need a tool. So we have a media converter and a video converter.
Right.
So we need to pass two devices so we get a Blu-ray to play.
Yeah. But if you were going to run everything over HDMI,
Yeah.
That's what you're referring to as an HDCP stripper.
Yes, yes, something that,
This
some
is what
sort
we
of
have.
interface that
This is what we have.
bypasses HTC.
My mind's good. If you have one component available that's small, and it's just an HCP stripper, that would be.
Well,
that would be
They are over here. Isn't that what's in the rack there?
They are the media converters.
Yeah, okay.
And they're for every Blu-ray player.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then Mac media clock.
Keep that in mind because, like, you know, I could take one of these Makitos. Well, I have one in my house, and I try to plug my Roku in it, and the Roku's like, no, this is encrypted content. You know, like, it stops me from being able to re-encode and re-stream Netflix or something like that.
So, to your knowledge, do they sell a HDMI in, HDMI out, HDCP stripper?
I think so. It should. I don't know.
It should be more streamlined, yeah.
I haven't seen it myself, but I also only manage what goes into the Makitos, you know.
Well, well, that is the case in this scenario here because we could have just ran that HDMI straight to the TriCaster, but we
Yeah.
couldn't because of the
I got you,
HCP.
yeah.
So that's why we need
Yeah.
to put these two boxes in place.
I understand what's going on there. I just meant,
Yeah, just the
How do you
HDMI.
set
Well,
up
that's
the
what the
workflow?
essentially is. You want the HDMI into one box, pull everything to HDMI out. Into the TriCaster. So that's what basically we do.
You guys are going to be IP video masters. But yeah, I mean, what else do you want to know? That's how this is set up.
Yeah.
If you use media platform, it's a completely different setup. So it's more streamlined and way more intuitive. Like, you'll be able to click through all the screens in media platform and like know exactly what's going on, no problem. This is a lot less intuitive, unfortunately. That's why we don't really sell this anymore. We sell media platform. And media platform also has the ability to run HLS streams, so you can do unicast stuff. So you can get content onto like your iPhone and stuff with our High Vision app, and watch live streams on your phone and everything. So, but Furnace is really good because it's stable, multicast, low bandwidth, and everything, and it just works. Like, it just works. Oh, there's actually another tool that is relevant to your setup is, so you can get reports using statistics if that is super relevant. You can download it. I haven't had to do this, but you can poke around in here. If you need something specific, we have documentation on it. But the main array manager is going to be pretty relevant for just your like day-to-day administration as IT folks. This is where you're going to go to see the status of set-top boxes. So if someone says, hey, my thing isn't working, you can go in and try to reboot it. So yeah, let's run through everything one by one.
Before we do that, do you mind? I apologize. Can we put a stream into that encoder that we just set up?
Good.
And could we just borrow it from another device?
I think it's unplugged for something.
Yeah, and then we can.
Well, you have to add that to the lineup and all that sort of jazz, right? And
Yeah,
set up the multicaster too. Or can we just point to a different multicaster just for Comcast or something? You know what I'm saying? Multicaster just from the Comcast one blade and then use that just for the spare one.
No, I mean, we could put it in the lineup and everything because it's already the channel. I've configured the channel. Spare
Okay,
two.
we have it into that.
There's nothing going into it right
That's
now.
what I'm saying. Yeah.
Well, you could just move over
I guess
something.
I move over.
Like, to see it work, I mean, we'll just add the spare two into the lineup.
Okay.
Done. And now you go and plug in the source to that
I
encoder.
apologize.
And then, yeah, for quickness, I got to save it. Save lineup. Now, spare two is available on your set-top box. And now we're going to physically move the output of one of the Comcast channels over to the spare encoder,
I move Comcast one.
and then the set-top box will be able to see it.
Well, you need to change that. No, never mind. Because it's going in through the HCCP stripper,
Yes.
and the only input is DVI.
The only input's DVI, and it's set to automatically. See, now on our spare encoder, we have an input resolution. That's what's coming off. That wasn't there before. Input format, it said automatic. It'll just figure it out when you plug it in. And it'll actually tell you if you're running HDCP into this.
So you weren't able again to change the
Bump that up. No.
Why on the tuner itself it didn't
Yeah.
set the change? Is that what it is?
Eric was looking into it, and the input you can see on the tuners. It says, "Oh, here's what I'm outputting at 480i," is what it says with the tuners. So we literally did everything we could to say, "All right, output at 1080p," and it says no because it's only getting the 480 picture.
From the
Right,
DTA.
so
Yeah.
that won't upscale it.
He's saying unless we go to Comcast and ask them for a better service,
Or
which is
better
that
tuner.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you need to get higher resolution from Comcast, from the way source. So yeah, like now that we see input format is populated here, it's 480p, and this is green. That means we have framing and we're encoding. I can even take a screenshot of what's coming in right now. Let that process. And there we go. So I can see just a quick single frame of what was coming in. And you can see even on the input side of the encoder, we have those sort of green lines.
So what will be the solution for that?
Higher resolution from Comcast.
So Comcast resolution is 480p, not 720.
It seems to be 480i.
480i.
Yeah. That's just their standard plan. So I remember when I had the Comcast standard plan, I plugged in HDMI to my set-top box and nothing would come out. So I called them up, what the hell is going on? And they said, oh, you have to spend $20 more a month for HD. And I'm not doing this. Just unplug the box and didn't use it. Yeah. So yeah, your basic Comcast plans are going to be SD only.
I don't know if it's a box. Maybe you get a better box. Or
No, the boxes can put HD.
Oh, they can.
for
Okay,
sure.
so it's the feed from Comcast.
It's the feed from Comcast.
Yes,
It's SD.
So if your input is 480 high, and this thing is apparently 480p, it's calling it 480p.
Yeah, the distinction wasn't quite made on the input line for some reason.
So you can set the output to 480p to get rid of that green.
Well, you could see that this screenshot is a screenshot from the encode. So this is the input side. Yeah. So, and we did play around with the output resolution and frame rate and all this.
Still great.
Yeah, aspect ratio. Well, it wasn't even that it was green. It was that the framing. It wouldn't. We made it so that the aspect ratio would use the whole space of the output device on the man arrays out there. But that's really all I have control over. The picture coming in.
So the DOP there is 120. So
That's default. Yeah.
default. But you said you want to match it generally.
Yeah, that's what I usually do, and sometimes you can get better quality by increasing the GOP. Increasing it. Let more frames come through.
So generally speaking, if you were to increase the GOP, how would that affect your setting of your bitrate? Lower your bitrate setting and increase your GOP.
So your bitrate setting is always going to stay. It's always going to put out 6 meg. There is, I think, a variable bitrate setting. Not really though. These are set up to be the whole point of these encoders is that they just set one bitrate, right? And that's yeah. So it's gonna adapt the image and the encode to match your 6 meg. No matter what you put in here, it's gonna be 6 meg or whatever you set. So by having a higher bitrate, there's more leeway for enabling the GOP size and the frame rate and framing, but so you have a higher quality potential at the end. So this is should be golden on the output, but it really depends on the area. Yeah, and if you want to look at the spare two, how that's set up.
Ed, there's one in here. Eric, can you throw that on the? Hey.
Yeah.
Can you throw that on the monitor for Ed, or did you just leave?
He just
He wants to check it on the projector.
Yeah.
Okay. Do we want to do that?
Yeah, that's.
What?
That's what
That is it.
Yeah.
Yes.
You want to see it out there?
Yeah. Okay, it's just gonna go check it, but if it's on the line, I'll let you know it's on the line.
Well, the projectors are where it's going to be viewed at the end.
Battery,
Yeah.
yeah.
Quickly, you want to see that.
Notice me that 90, 69 minutes drive.
Started with 176. 106. Okay, we'll start with 176 minutes now. Down to 69 minutes. Recording.
No, it's ridiculous. Typically, we have office monitor.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. Like, once you get the infrastructure in place, it's just a matter of fine tuning your encodes and all that kind of stuff. And as far as troubleshooting goes, usually I just walk through every step of your video setup. So we looked at the output off the Comcast boxes to see what that quality was like. Then we looked at the output of the tuners to see what that was like. Slightly degraded, because you're going to lose a little bit of signal. Whenever you go analog to digital and back again, there's going to be a little bit of signal loss there, you know. So this green could be related to just the way that these cables are set up. You know? So if you go,
some better RGB cables before that, or
these are really good. I thought that these would be good. They're high def, but
right. So they're supposed to be 720p cables.
yeah, they are. You can run high def on the cables that we got set up here, EVIN. Just there is a high def one. Okay. So it's completely possible. Just we're stuck with what we got from Comcast, which isn't the best at this point. Yeah, to verify that, we walked through pretty much every step of the video workflow, and then when you get to this point, highly recommended to have a Makito and a screen like right next to all your stuff. Yeah, so that you can see, all right, it works here and it looks good here. Why doesn't it work over there? Why does the quality drop off? What are we seeing across the router hops and stuff like that? So
All of our local inputs shouldn't suffer from the same issues as far as.
yes, yeah, you can run. This is running. You saw it earlier on InStream and everything. How's it look out there?
Yeah, looks great.
And that's spare too. Channel.
That is spare too. It is sending around.
Totally viewable.
You got the partner.
Okay, so yeah, that's the whole setup for that. We're gonna go in and take spare 2 out of the lineup now that we've seen it, and then we'll change it back over to Comcast.
They show you how to change the icon.
See how that
It's really dodgy when you're driving along with it.
And then you'll have lights on this.
One time we're in the beach house, we did the same thing. Not like the power was down there.
Alright, so is there any questions up to this point how IPTV configuration works? The whole system, whole setup. Usually we don't go this in depth.
Oh, icon at the top of the.
Yeah, so on my channel editor, see how the logo is set here? I can go in and change the logo by selecting a different icon
Is there
here.
any way to insert, or is it?
Yes. So icon manager, you can import icons.
Great.
And this gives you information. It'll resize it automatically for you,
Oh,
but
fantastic.
you probably want to have one that's already at that resolution so nothing changes it. You know? Yeah. And then this whole list it ships with the list of like CNN and stuff. But these ones here were added in the black frame and the live
Do
ones.
you, is that per, yeah, it's per furnace uploading those images?
Yes, this is local to the hard drive on that appliance. But yeah, I could go in and just change the icon here. So this is kind of an intuitive part. I mean, once you click,
Is that is it basically the standard resolution or not?
it's a weird resolution. It's not like a fat icon. It's a 56 by 40.
Yes.
This is PNG. So PNG, I think that you can do. Yeah, this live, it has transparent pixels on it. So when it comes up in here, you can see it map the background is transparent. So it's pretty nice. So yeah, that's how you set up actual sources. This one, you won't tinker with this too much because that encoder is going to change IP, I think, as it moves around. That's
Yeah,
what it seems
depending
like.
on which, where it's plugged in.
Yeah, so there's no encoder directly here. They just set it out. They set it up to always output on that multicast address. So you can just say your type is other and just point to that multicast address. Downside is this isn't going to be encrypted because there's no direct crosstalk between that encoder and the furnace. So it can't agree on an encryption key. But happens. So it's trade-offs for being able to move it around. Yes. Okay. The other part as managers, as admins, you'll be messing with man array manager. Pretty much any of this stuff you're not going to be messing with. VF now is for VOD and now admin, set-top box imager. You won't have to really play with any of this stuff. Man array manager, channel manager, admin, and in-stream are going to be your bread and butter pretty much. So we were looking at man array manager a little bit earlier. It gives you control over each set-top box. So we can see a bunch of information about the set-top box on here. I can edit its information, time zone, name if you need to, host name. So when these come up, I don't know if we have one that we can demo how to bring these up. I guess we should though. Yeah, let me think of how. I guess we can demo how to bring up a man array from scratch, because that's part of this. But yeah, I can edit the information when they do come up. I can change the name, tell it where it's at. They all come up with man array as the default host name. You can tell it what lineup, what channels it'll look at. You probably just use default unless you want to have different lineups for. If you want to have a set-top box that's just your signage one, you can set up a lineup that only has the signage channel, and then put that set-top box out there, and then configure it so the lineup it has is only the signage lineup. So it only has access to the signage. If you want to lock people out, you can set pins. So you can't change anything with the remote unless the pin is input. So if you have a signage device, you'll use that. Admin pin, I don't know how that differs from pin, to be quite honest.
Yeah, I don't do for week two.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know. Initially, they were set to none.
Yeah.
So I had to make sure that it's set to default for them to see all those channels.
Yes.
Initially, I wasn't getting any channels on the set-top boxes.
Yeah, when you plug one in that has not been on furnace before, it'll have no lineup, and you won't be able to see anything. So you'll have to go in and set default. It's good to have an NTP server set up. I don't even know if that's a valid one on your network, but
Yeah. Someone else provided.
cool. Yeah, so you'll set that up. You can go in and tell it what channel to be on. Change the volume here, and you can. I think you can create tags here.
Is there a standard setting for volume amongst all the?
I think they come up as 50%. IDMP probably won't have to mess with it. But, yep, a bunch of information for editing it there. You can also send commands, so I can change the channel to be, Comcast 1 for this device. Crank the volume, mute it, and then as soon as I click send, that's going to happen on that device. So gives you remote control, truly remote control over.
As long as you're online, then.
Now, it's going to use the schedule.
Yes.
We did it at Wildlife initially, but with the time change, we eventually stopped doing that.
Using the scheduler here to change to different channels at different times and stuff.
Well, that's the thing.
Yeah. Well, the other issue we ran into, if you hit cancel and then go to the very bottom, see the couple numbers that are manta rays and the ones that are off.
Yeah.
So all those, if I'm not mistaken, Eric, were named already. All the manta rays down there at the bottom
Correct.
that are just coming up.
Yeah, those we have some duplicates that we still need to find out where they are.
And
Yeah, we have 39, 40, 41. I think they're duplicate IPs on there. The installer will set them up. I think that's all. We just need to kind of look at them. I think we're trying to maybe reach out to France to see if we can find it, kind of localize
MAC
where
address.
they are by using the MAC address and the switches. You know what I'm saying? You know how it's not with the switch to see what MAC address.
but he kept IP addresses for each room.
Yeah, correct.
So
So
now
I
you can just
label
go
the
by
ones
that.
that I know that for sure that we know that they're there. I relabel them.
So
And
you
the way
can-
that you also could, can you show how to change the labeling from memory to whatever kind?
Yeah, it's
And
edit.
then you just go edit and then you just type in the field right there. Yeah, right. Exactly.
I understand that.
Okay.
Yeah, for finding the
And then the ones that are highlighted red, what does that
Offline.
generally mean? I understand, but I don't think anyone's turned off their boxes. So
Maybe a plug.
is that something we need to
Maybe off the
troubleshoot?
network or off,
That's
or
not been able to connect in the past 2 months. Yeah, so
we're not there anymore, or we should play.
there's some issue that is stopping it from contacting friends.
So if we were to, let's say, a set-top box goes bad and we have to replace it with another one, does it stay on this list, or do you have to physically remove it?
You have to physically remove it.
Yes, you'll have to go in and
Hit delete,
Action.
remove it. Or it's gonna stay on there as red.
Yep.
Okay, so. half of that.
This is, no, I think we need a finished
Yeah.
product before we can actually
I agree. So it's on.
start to troubleshoot.
your administration tab, these are the default settings that the manta rays are going to get when they come up. So you can change your volume here. And you want to set your line. Default pin if you want to lock them down.
What did Rennie ask?
Offline cleanup, so you can set this up where if the manta ray doesn't communicate for a set number of days, it will get removed. So if you do want to do that, but I don't think you'll want to. Manta rays aren't going up and down all the time.
Setting up a set-top box to the server is straightforward. If you want to request a demo removal from Furnace and reconnect,
So I think he's asking to remove a set-top box. And
We got one right there. We do.
Yeah, can we get the MAC address off that one?
Yeah.
I think I'm using it. There should be a smaller one
Yeah.
that came with the box. Plugging this up here. Yeah, what happened to the remote that we got to do? Does this cart have any extra power available on it?
If it did, it'd probably be in the back.
Oh, here you go.
So I think our supervisor is also asking if during this training we could also just do the same thing with the decoder. I don't know if he wants it factory default.
You have a decoder here?
Decoders on the cart.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's an encoder and decoder on the cart.
I had no idea. Well, the decoder process is literally the exact same. So,
This is
I don't know what the value on it. It's literally the same one as the encoder. Sorry, what is it?
With the back of that.
The last four of the MAC.
95A1. should have an IP that should download to 95A1.
Yeah, so take it out of that screen. When you go into that screen, when you go into the settings page, it comes up as like powered off, so you can't send commands to it. Yeah,
There you go.
and that'll come back up green.
Ready?
So we'll remove that, and then there you go. It just drops offline. The decoder, we'll just go over the configuration. What is the decoder on this card? I don't even know.
It's connected to the TV directly.
I think it's being used as a glorified set-top box.
Yeah, that's what it
That's
seems
what
like.
it is, yeah.
Okay.
And they're not cheap either, are they?
And
The one that
no, I think they're the same as you.
No, it's the Kilo X or whatever it is.
That's the Keto X.
Yeah, it's the Kilo X.
Cool. Do you know the IP? Offhand?
10, it's on a switch. Okay.
Yeah, the decoders don't get joined to the realm. They're not managed by Furnace. They're kind of like a standalone.
Somebody get that off it.
Yeah, you configure it on the web interface. The thing is, it's
Oh, I know the encoder's a 10.116, 143. Oh, it's 33. There it is. 10, that's the IP. It's not. Is it connected? No,
Brett.
So it is.
It's a
You're
mirror.
connected to. Yeah, it's a manual, man.
The signage information is on that spreadsheet.
So, yeah, 10.116, 143.33.
Oh, so they're saying like a physical device.
Three.
System.
Not your IP.
Like standalone or whatever.
Really? So I have to connect directly.
Yeah.
No, you're on the same switch now. It's
Oh, I have to build a route.
yeah, exactly. You got
I feel bad for whoever takes that. It's
10.116.
a lot of work.
143. And then the encoders are 23.
Basically all of us have our names all over it.
23.
Yeah.
Dude.
So is this the right gateway I should use?
Yeah, it should be. Also, 143. Yeah, that should be. 10.116. 143. 23.
You guys doing this thing?
What's that?
What you guys doing right
Trying to get a route to the.
To the encoder and decoder because they're on a different subnet altogether. I think they're on the admin network subnet. Because they're on the 10 dot network.
Yeah, I don't think I have a route
No,
from this view.
No, I had to directly go into that switch and
You
get
know
it.
what?
Oh, it's 10.116, 143. And then 23 and 33 is when we use it. Construction.
Try that. We'll get into that in a second here. We'll,
But that box is ready to go.
yeah, do we want to just plug it in?
We can hope that it oh, the remote's right there.
Yeah, I agree.
Basically,
Save the card after play. There's an outlet audio.
Yes.
Pretty sure there are
He's trying to get this VLAN 6. You can look this up for VLAN 6. It's alright, it's right here behind. What do you think, Joe?
What's up?
Let's test VLAN 6 from these encoders in the park. VLAN 22.
No, you said you did it.
Can I get that blue?
I emailed him earlier this morning. I got a response.
So it's VLAN 6, not VLAN 2.
Two? Okay, I'm
Can I-
sorry. I don't remember. I supposed to be that. You sure?
Yeah, I'm gonna plug it into the set-top box. No, just single track on
I was
set-top box.
tired maybe after so
Not at this rate, friend.
It's all good, man. I got
Your interview is not going well.
Oh well, you know, I didn't know it was
Just play it.
Don't worry. Oh, that one didn't work.
However you get started.
We're on VLAN 2, though.
Yellow should be here.
That was on the first one. I wonder if he wants it off.
Blue,
Switch over there.
one
That
of
was
these.
full.
You could probably unplug my laptop for now. I got.
Nope.
That was good.
Still stay on my laptop.
Is all right?
Yeah.
You got no power?
Yeah, for now. Alright, we can't start.
I have a pin here.
Plugged in, right? Just trying to do DHCP.
Oh, it's right there. Yes, yeah.
Got it.
Go. What which one? What else? Let's hear it off.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, you want.
Just waiting for it to come on. It sits at red for a while, doesn't it? Oh, it didn't know yesterday. So this is what you're gonna see when you first plug in the first time out of the box. Open them up there. Green light came on. It started red. Green light came on. Yeah, it'll dump you to the information screen. This one was already configured with an IP address. Well, it got an IP address over DHCP. So there's DHCP server on there. It starts off configured as DHCP. If you have to run it static, you can run it static. Hand jam in your IP. Not fun, but it works. This is why you get the guys on the ground with you. And then they'll just have a list. They'll know what to plug in through set-top box in each spot. But I think we should be good to just run DHCP on this.
And you guys are going to get the training for that?
Yeah, that's on the 22 subnet. It's got an IP. So it should be good. You can change your display settings too to match whatever you got. So there's a crap ton of outputs on this.
We're using composite out there.
Yeah, so the composite one
It's
is
like 536 or something, right?
yeah.
576.
I think we ran 480 because that's what we got going into it. Too,
Yeah.
so it made sense to match it.
We're not all going to be using it.
Yeah. So if this gets set though, like if this changes,
You're using composite out, you can't see anything.
you won't be able to see anything again because it's only like one output. I think HDMI it'll try to spit out as much as possible, or like if you have composite, you can usually get something out of HDMI no matter what the setting is here. So HDMI is a good fallback, but we'll just keep it to match the display that we have here. HCP. The server is 172. Someone knows? 22. 16. Yes. So this is I'm pointing it to the furnace server by just hand jamming in the IP address. And port number 80 probably won't change. And then when I click save, it's literally going to try to talk to the furnace. It sends a request that says, hey, I'm the set-top box, can you set me up? And it says, yep. Sends it a command to download the newest firmware that's available for man arrays and do everything. But really, that's the whole process for bringing up a man array. You just make sure it has an IP address, net light is on, and then you put in the server number for the furnace. Click save, and then you just wait. It should automatically reset.
Yep.
Generally, how long does that take? Put it on that computer?
Or like just open up a switch channel.
It'll take a bit. Like,
Yeah.
I won't think that the changes have actually happened, and then maybe 30 to 45 seconds.
If that happens, like you're good, you should be able to just wait. If it says like check, that means it successfully connected to the furnace, and you should be good. I think. Yeah. In my experience. And then when you're doing it live, it always takes a little bit longer than you want.
New drive. You mind?
Should just do it.
Boot tables, 18 tables. If it's not enough.
So the time stuff will get updated by the furnace. It's configured in your main array manager, so you shouldn't have to worry about this. There we go.
Port for B-Line 6.
I may have been downloading a firmware update in the background, so it may have taken a little bit longer than we anticipated. And there you go. It instantly turns you to the channel that you're on. The channel that was configured in there.
They just sold the last
Yeah, that's set-top box. Pretty straightforward. There is a way to automatically provision them using DHCP option 60, like 2 peak parameter on your DHCP server if you're doing it that way. But I think you guys are statically configuring them out there. Yeah. But in the future, if you want to do DHCP, it's a lot faster than just plugging in.
I think we generally they just keep better track of when
I
we
think
do
the reason why we did that was because the first time we did that was at Wildlife, and Wildlife has this special power management stuff that was shutting down the boxes. So it was first didn't like it. So,
Yeah, if these are like flapping, it won't work. Right. So,
I think we just
yeah, I mean DHCP makes things a lot faster, but it's literally there's many ways to deploy min arrays.
They're static here as well. They're static everywhere.
that that same house we go Wildlife, that's just
Yeah.
This is gonna be weird. Oh no, it's not plugged up.
So that cable right there is VLAN 6. If for whatever reason we want to hook up the encoders,
Yeah.
and that way it can be seen by VLAN 22.
Okay, so I'll have a route. So from my laptop, I'll have a route to VLAN 6.
Yep.
that should come up on V96. I don't know how those are networked. I'm not entirely sure what you.
They're on like 10 nuts or something.
Third octet tells you it's on
So V96 here, elementary
should be high.
should be low.
Well, what? Admin is low.
Admin is high.
Admin's low.
Yeah, take the powers and stuff like that.
The idea is that the encoder should be on VLAN 6 and be able to broadcast over VLAN 22, right? I got you a port to VLAN 6, that cable right there. That you plug in the switch.
Oh, really? Awesome.
So now should I be able to route to? In theory?
Here, yeah.
Right. I don't know why there is a feature around this. Just put them in.
The way I've been told it's the package.
Yeah, we don't have access to that person who sold it anymore. I think he's not with the company anymore.
Yep.
So I can't like ask him, hey, let's,
Great.
yeah, great. So I'm gonna try to. Oh, that's not it. What is it? 10 dot.
10 dot.
So it'll be 116 over
10.116.143.23.
No, 140 plays
23 and 33.
Yeah, I don't know. No. That's probably not right. I know that is right. So I'm going through.
The encoder and the decoder are two.
That's all right.
That's the addresses, yeah. 10.116 and 43. 23 for the encoder, 33 for the decoder.
I set up a static route to go through.
The switches are.
Oh.
Looks like it's
Anyway.
It's going through the video switch, and then it just doesn't know where to go from there. There's no routing in this. Would I be able to get to it over the Wi-Fi then?
That would be VLAN 2, wouldn't it?
It's going to be VLAN.
I'm on 10.16.127.2.
Yes, so you're on.
That will route over here. Guess was routing to the video building. Yeah, I could get to the furnace over Wi-Fi. Might want to stop that.
Yeah.
Yeah, if I trace route to the furnace,
Yeah, actually, that's like, yeah.
let me just disconnect this. I think I'm going to lose my multicast streams and stuff, but I've already set that up. Yeah, here's still have a connection to furnace without Wi-Fi. My route to host there. This is all your guy Francis or something?
Yeah, we'll get into the.
Maybe not. It's, Chrome can reach it somehow. Yeah. What's he saying?
Was that convincing enough?
So if we want to look at the decoders, then we have to get to them, but I can't. So, maybe if I plug directly into that switch from here.
porcupine around them. Have you guys saved them? Once you got your email,
So this should probably just be on that 10 dot. I forget what it is.
And one dollar was free. Oh, wasn't that?
30. Then
Uh,
116, 143. Then 116, 143.
is that a shop function?
Yeah.
The decoder, right?
Let's just give myself a random IP in there to see if I break anything.
He's already reported himself.
Yeah, so remember how I was saying with the mobile cart before, they just output to the static multicast address. It's not getting provisioned by Furnace or anything. It's just gonna always output there. So it doesn't have anything plugged in right now. So that's the encoder on the cart. Not really anything else to see there.
And that's the decoder you have right now.
That one's the encoder. I'll try to get to the alleged decoder. So you'll see that the interface is pretty much the same. Well, the same outline, yeah. So yeah, we can configure specific. I actually haven't played with decoders too much.
That's really exactly what the.
I don't understand why it doesn't match the decoder.
Yeah, it's slightly different. Yeah, you can run SDI, ENC.
Audio.
Yeah, S video, I think. Yeah, that's what it is on the encoders too.
They know it's gonna be used.
That's weird. It might just be the interface that they decided to use. So decoder. Learning a lot about decoders right now. You'll see that the network setup for decoders is the same idea.
It's making a list and checking it twice.
So I really don't even know what this decoder is being used for. That would be super helpful to know. Output SDI, maybe into that switcher box or something. Yeah, potentially. Is it decoding what's coming off of the encoder? Because that's the encoder.
I think that's the idea. It's just basically the encoder is pointing towards the decoder, and then the output of the decoder is just going to the monitor
To
here.
the switcher, yeah. Or to the yeah.
Again, it's a glorified man array.
Yeah. PSR UDP source unicast. They have over here multicast source. Okay, so it's taking the multicast that's coming off of that encoder on the cart and just decoding it, obviously. And then it's running. I don't know what it's running. I mean, we have to look at what's physically plugged in. So it's decoding what's coming off that encoder, running the HDMI out
To the monitor.
to to that box, I guess, to run the TriCaster. Video source. Okay. mobile card input, make it go through. A lot of different things set up here. That SDI in there isn't even put in, so.
Well, if it's coming out HDMI, it wouldn't need to be, right?
Yeah, the HDMI interface is configured
Pass both.
video source SDI.
Yeah, it's going to be HDMI out or HDMI audio stereo only too.
Yep. And that's just going straight out to the switcher. So it's depending on what you're reading. Well, I think it's weird. All right, so the way this is working is we have a stream coming into the RJ45. That's what we're configuring with this interface, okay? We added a stream, an IP stream off the network via multicast with record. That's what the encoder down there is putting out, okay? And then when we set up our outputs, our audio and HDMI outputs, they need to point to some SDI decoder, okay? So the SDI is how it's decoding. It's taking in that IP stream and pushing it on that SDI output. You don't necessarily have to plug anything into that SDI output, it's just where it's pushing it to. And then you can route your HDMI output to either of those SDI decoders, okay? So SDI2 isn't doing anything, but SDI1 is decoding the mobile cart stream. There is no secondary stream.
The output is physically coming out of the
HDMI. Yes. So it's a little like stream to SDI
So
to
essentially,
HDMI.
you could be doing two different mixes. SDI1 could be having a mobile part, SDI2 could be having something else.
Yes, you could run another stream in here if it's in the clear multicast, because the decoder won't be able to view the encrypted streams off the furnace. Well, it's not off the furnace, it's off those encoders encrypted by the furnace. Okay. So yeah, SDI1, primary stream is mobile card.
It's not going to do us too much good using the decoder, since there's going to be a delay in it, and if they're doing a live broadcast, they're going to delay out that.
I think your delay is going to be like 100 milliseconds.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're in adaptive low latency,
Okay.
so it's going to run real low delay.
That's not bad at all.
Yes. These encoders and decoders, we advertise like 54 milliseconds or something like that. So end to end, it shouldn't be a lot, especially since it's link local on that switch when you're not running anywhere. So expect low latency. Yeah, okay, yeah. You just configure the decode on the SDI interface and then output to the HDMI. And then again, the network configuration is under.
So once that communication is made between VLAN 6 and VLAN 22, this should actually get finished.
I don't know. I don't know anything about the network parameter stuff. So the answer might be yes. One thing to note with the encode setups, like whenever you change stuff, you need to save the preset and then set it to startup. You want to, like, if I were to change things around, I would want to resave the preset so that if it restarts, I don't lose what I did.
Sometimes it actually changes and will load the default rather than the one that you initially tell it.
I haven't seen it in my experience. But you
Might be
should.
right.
Maybe you missed the checking startup or
When it
something.
comes on startup, yeah.
Yeah, you have to.
It's never been with the decoder, it's only ever been with the encoders. Like, for example, at another school, we had it running as an HDMI. Actually, no, it defaulted to digital because it's an analog
Oh, okay.
output.
Maybe it was automatically trying to do it. It didn't. Got confused.
I mean, initially, I guess I just deleted the configuration that said or defaulted to digital, so the only thing it should be seeing on startup is analog.
Okay. Yeah.
That was a noodle scratcher for sure.
Yeah, presets, you don't want to miss those because you might do all your encoder work and then it gets rebooted and then everything's gone. So,
Well, I mean, I guess,
this is a button that you'll probably use if you're having a lot of trouble with your encoder or decoder. You can run system snapshot and send this to tech support. Or you can run it yourself, like run it between two encoders that you know are working, and then do a diff between the two text files, and then see like, all right, what's going on? What did I miss? Something that we've done in troubleshooting a lot. So this has just like a crap ton of information about the encoder. So you send this off to tech support, and they can pretty much get a good picture of what your encoder is like. I think the same thing should exist on the decode side. Yep. Cool. Any other questions? Anything anyone's unclear about? Yeah, system snapshot on the decoder. There's a lot of stuff.
From that save that file, or save that, and then you just upload it.
Yeah, it's just a text file that gets generated, and it'll automatically download, or you can press Control S to get that output. Yeah, lots of options for setting up pretty cool stuff. So talk to your account manager or these guys if you want to buy more Makitos and media platform and all that stuff.
Boss is asking, can you make the decoder work to an input on the monitor? But no, because you can't see the stream from the encoder to the decoder.
So work from an input on the monitor.
He's saying the output of the
TriCaster or
So make
something.
it work on an input to the monitor.
Yes, he's asking, can we take the output of the decoder, plug it into the monitor
Do
here?
we want to do that right now? I mean, we could, yeah.
Yeah. If he's asking, I'd like to appease him on that.
Yes. Well, let me see what we're looking at with the encoder on that card. So, yeah, just plug HDMI directly in. I think we were seeing it on the TriCaster before.
Good.
You can build it, build a video.
So Chris, you go.
That's what I just said.
Oh, I didn't hear you.
So there's nothing coming out of the.
I don't hear you.
There's nothing going into the encoder right now, actually. So I don't know if that's just the TriCaster's turned off or something, but if we were to plug in the decoder, we wouldn't see anything because there's nothing on the encoder. See, the encoder isn't getting anything. So I guess the TriCaster's unplugged from it or something. I don't know how the video is routed down there. But if we look at the back of the encoder, we'll see that not getting anything. For some reason.
So try this one.
Yeah, that one, but it just might not be routing. But I don't know the TriCaster. I don't know. Yeah, that's Eric Jones. So, I don't know where he is, but we were seeing it earlier. We were seeing the encoded stream on the in-stream and on the set-top box. So. Anything else we want to do? Any other things?
How about
that-
just brief question?
Is that-
What about when the, just have a case, but they're only done it once?
Yeah.
Just refresh it.
So you'll need access to the support portal.
I did develop an account, I have an account with them.
Cool. Yeah, so cases.
Right, okay.
case. Yeah, this is very, very straightforward.
I got back to me in like 10 minutes.
Is that?
They got back to me in like 10 minutes. It was awesome.
Yeah, they're real quick about it. And if you're out here, you'll get a little chat bubble, and you can even do this.
But that's, the guy says, can I help you with anything? I was like, can you expedite my case?
Oh, really? Yeah, and you did it.
Good job, right back.
Yeah, that's I actually know that guy. That's Courtney.
Okay. Now, can we do this? Amit, that helped me.
Right. They could be any. So our tech support is all over the world. There's a guy in Japan. There's a guy. Everyone in Montreal, Chicago, Texas, West Coast. Someone will be able to get to you like at literally any hour of the day. Yeah. So generally, this is probably where you want to go.
So is that our like purchased extra support?
That's your year long support. Yeah,
1 year.
I think it's 1 year per purchase.
Does that sound right, Eric?
1 year.
when we private support. And then we have the option to re-up that.
Yeah. Through whoever, I don't know who your sales or your account manager would be at this point. On our side, it might go through Art. Then I don't know.
I think Art is the one purchasing it.
Yes.
But God only knows when the coverage started and when it expires.
Yeah, when the
Might have already
yeah the
expired.
equipment
for all we
was
know.
purchased, you know,
Say after that period, what will be available to us after that? Just
Doctor.highvision.com is available. I would say you could email tickets at highvision.com, but they're turning off the case creation for that, just because there's too many things that like aren't important, and it just kind of floods the inbox. So this is always publicly available, doc.highvision.com, so you can dig through our documentation. If you need to do something specific, you can go in and look at the user guide, and we have everything in this wiki format. This is what the tech support guys end up looking at anyways, you know, unless they have some tribal knowledge of some solution, but you know, when it comes to actually doing something, this is where you go first.
Thanks.
Yeah. And if there's any issues with like your support portal access, like if you can't get something from the download center, I think you can just talk to the tech support guy down here, just open a new case about it, and they'll get it routed to the guys who control the support portal access. Like if you're trying to download a Makito software update or something, and you don't have access to it, just let someone know. Tell them your serial number and everything.
you got a login, right, Alex? Yeah, I got one too. So
Yep. Good stuff.
can you
What's that?
see if the set-top box at that 100 is on there? Other than the 290? This is the set-top box in the main office for that big monitor.
Okay.
I tried activating it, but it said it failed to connect to the server. So I'm thinking the port that set-top box is connected to, that's from the wall. I'm not sure if that's the right thing.
Got 100?
That one, it
Yeah.
it's on there. It
Fancy.
says all right.
Got a green light.
That's across from main 130. What's the next IP that we can use?
So it's labeled incorrectly,
It
or
was, I think it was IP incorrectly. What's the next
and the
IP?
box isn't working also?
The box isn't coming on. I think it's an IP just comfort. What are we at? 99. We go down. That's gonna be the 100 range. Yeah.
This is alphabetically organized.
So one.
We organize it by IP.
So I'll give it 102. Right? 102 is not being used.
All these are off 102.
So we got 5 boxes offline.
It might be 100.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah, it looks like 5. There's a lot of stuff on there that we're not covering, like
Okay. Our boss
Yeah.
just wants us to like tick off when we're all wrapped up with what we did and what we didn't do. And
yeah, let me go over. So stuff like pretty much all of 1.3 is not applicable to you guys. You don't have any asset management licensing, so don't have to worry about it. Custom channels we talked about, how to do live stuff. Okay, it's a second page here, so yeah, 1.2 doesn't. really interact with you guys. Okay. VF admin, we went through literally every single screen. VF admin went through how to set up channels, channel lineups. That's 1.4.1. We did that. 1.4.3, we talked about how to set up groups and users and all that. Went through that. 1.4.4 does not apply to your license for this. 1.4.5 is pretty much obsoleted by man array manager, so don't even need that. We're not doing SDB imager or EPG. We could look at reports real quick just to see what you can get out of here. Not the prettiest setup. But
That's, I guess, Francis had set up the communication here. Figure it out.
yeah, see, I don't even know what these mean, so I think the reporting in Furnace is pretty bad, so you probably won't be able to
It was about
total.
email I sent was said it. Yes. VF editor head.
Yeah, that's for assets and VOD. We won't be using VF editor.
So that's Francis.
I don't even know where that is.
That's Francis.
It's probably in now. There should be SSH access in the Furnace too if you need to really like get logs going, but that is something that tech support will end up walking you through. You know, they'll say, "Hey, can you grab these logs? Just run these commands."
So you're saying 1.5.1.
Yeah,
It's
through
all
to
tech
the end.
support.
It's basically stuff that tech support will walk you through. Because I feel like if you're going in there, you're not gonna like. It won't provide a ton of information to you guys. You're more about like the system setup stuff than like the actual running around your system.
1.5.2.
That's more the command line stuff. You probably won't need to worry about that unless tech support tells you to. And it has sample exercises, but they're all for stuff that. So we did.
You're talking about systems utilities.
Sorry,
Oh no, I'm sorry. Bill.
that sounded. System utilities. Those are typical commands that you can use. I'm gonna see what the SSH access in this thing looks like. I don't think I've ever done the SSH.
It should be open. I usually use Putty.
What account do you use?
Oh, it's going to be HP root, I think.
Yeah,
HP root or HP root.
it might be some firewall or something.
You
Something
are
on the Wi-Fi.
Oh, you're the Wi-Fi. That's
Yeah.
why. Yeah. If you go to get it.
Blue.
Yeah,
Blue one's already full.
The blue one will take you there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So most of these sample exercises on this sheet are for like playing back VOD and recording and stuff. So we're not doing that here.
You're talking about 1.5.3.
Down at the end, the sample exercises. The system utilities are just different commands that you can use at the console to get more
Also, they
information.
refer to a tech support. What manual do they use?
So
The docs online.
yeah, doc.hydrogen.com or somewhere in support, in the support portal, there is support documentation. I think you guys have access to this. And if not, you can ask.
Yeah. Our account manager will give us access to it. Yeah. I
Yes.
think that's what he did for me.
See health checks. This is pretty much what tech support's going to run you through when you put in a ticket. If you're having like big issues with Furnace, and tech support's going to just run through this document. Yep. Yeah, admin guide, installing system upgrades, API integration. You can get literally everything you need to get.
Great. Eventually we can add that to the hcpss sharing that we have.
I think this is the same one on doc.highvision. So I ended up. So I'm going to get myself back on the video VLAN and then I try to demonstrate the multicast, the in-stream stuff. We saw a little bit of it earlier, but it's a good way to, if you're on a port that can route to the multicast VLAN from the video stuff, then you can check on your desktop using in-stream. What's that? No, it's just my bash shell. Adding a route to
I
the.
apologize if you like this. The other high site on outside of the portal, docs.highvision.
It's doc, DOC. Yeah, high-vision. Yep. It's like people love this because it's public to everyone. It's basically like our place where you go for all of your needs. You need to do something. Unfortunately, the furnace documentation isn't it's not super wikified or whatever, so you do have to just download the PDF and go through it there. But something like the set-top box, the main array, right here. Oh no, this one's going to be the same thing. Yeah, you downloaded the thing because it's older. We haven't updated it. We brought everything in.
Well, it only updates when you update the furnace, right?
What do you mean?
Those boxes don't update themselves when you push update to the furnace.
Yeah. So they should be fine. But I'm talking about the documentation.
Oh, yeah.
You'll have to just download the PDF and go through it. Our newer products like the media platform, they have this really nice interface for getting to different things. So launching stream. Stars align. Wait. Yeah. Oh, these are estimated. It was red. So in-stream player is a way to view these back. In-stream is it's like a desktop player for the multicast. You need to have high-vision helper installed. We talked about this earlier. But when you click this, it'll talk to high-vision helper and launch in-stream on your system. And then you can just kind of view your channels from here. So if you're configuring new channels or something, you can look at the lineups on this side and get a view of your encoder output. This is what the set-top box are going to be tuning into. These are the same exact streams. So you can look at the health and the quality of them here rather than having to have a set-top box next to you. Still a good idea to have a set-top box next to you, but this confirms delivery. It helps you confirm that you can actually see the stream at the end. And if you just want to watch TV at your desk, you can do that too.
I don't think any of us do that irresponsibly.
Hey Morty, download
Oh my God!
Oh yeah.
Stories.
Yeah, there's any of the options with in-stream, they're just kind of related to playback. There's nothing to control, nothing to configure for in-stream, just playback. Yep.
Alright, so we went over functions of this. Most of the stuff, I guess, wasn't even applicable to us.
Yeah, the license that you guys have doesn't, like, now admin, like, you don't need to worry about VF now. It's VOD stuff and recording, which the license that is for this site.
So I guess the only other thing is we need to figure out those like 5 or 6 boxes that don't have details on them, or if there's an IP conflict. And then this needs to be configured so that it can work on the VLAN 6.
But as far as all the furnace encoders, decoders, and set-top boxes, everything looks good here. And we ran through literally everything that we could possibly run through. There are stuff.
So it's just a couple more items that need to be picked up.
Yep.
You guys got questions?
Sounds good to me. Thanks for your help, Riley.
Yeah, man. No problem. I hope this was,
Very helpful. We got videos, notes, how to engage.
everything you need, man.
Francis?
They don't need me anymore. I'll put myself out of that.
Hey, let me ask you, what did you, some kind of like, where you work?
No. I graduated from the University of Delaware in May last year.
Information systems degree or?
Computer engineering. Yeah. But I've been doing networking-based server stuff. Like I've ran a server out of my house since middle school.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
You've always been into it.
Yeah. Been doing this for a while.
No Cisco servers or anything?
I don't bother. Like, I'm all about using free software and stuff,
Yeah.
so I run pfSense as my router at home. And then
pfSense?
Yeah.
Is that it's a good virtual router?
Yeah, it's a hardware.
about
I'm trying to route to.
I'm trying to study for my plus, that's why.
My laptop's like, oh yeah, I can take you to hcpss pfSense because that's what I have at home. So it's trying to route me to that hosting. Yeah, this is open source stuff though. This doesn't play into Cisco too much, but it's a good way to learn about. Like I have VLAN set up on there. My VPN runs through this thing. I think I could probably get to it right here. And then I got like a DMZ VLAN on there, different like reverse proxies and everything. Like
Stuff you plan out configuring, play with, learn how to configure.
fun stuff. So my website runs through there. Maybe. Oh, shit, that starts. Gotta fix that. Literally everything's probably broken. But whatever. Yeah, man, it's like
cool pfSense, I'll keep that in mind.
ton of like free stuff to. That's what I've been doing. Just find free software and then tinker with it. Like I said, we don't usually have a training like that for new guys.
Right.
Just learn by yourself.